I think one or two things should happen, or actually one or three. He should end up with the Lakers, he should end up with the Miami Heat, or he should retire. One of the three.
Okay.
Go to one of those two teams or retire. Very, very simple to me. Now, let me tell you what I've been hearing, because I feel very, very bad for Daryl Morey. Okay. Here's what I'm saying. This is not a man that wanted to lose Trevor Ariza. This is not a man that wanted to lose Luke Mbamute. Mm-hmm. Obviously, because of luxury tax considerations and the ownership not really wanting to delve too deep into that, you were forced to lose those guys. You compromised that in combination with Jeff Bzdelik abruptly retiring as your defensive coordinator before later on agreeing to come back after Thanksgiving. Really compromised your team in terms of what worked for them last year when they were the top 6 team defensively and what have you. All right? And they tried to make up for it with some sizzle by adding a name in Carmelo Anthony to the mix.
Yeah.
Where Carmelo Anthony has garnered sympathy from folks in the league. If you notice, Dwayne Wade came out with a tweet. LeBron James, that's his brother as well. They don't like the manner in which Melo is being labeled and tainted here.
Yep.
And so what you're going to see is a situation where you're going to have guys looking out for their boy and saying, excuse me, we still think, don't get me wrong, it's not like they're just doing it out of sheer love and friendship for him. They believe he still has something left. Melo had an opportunity to go to Miami, Max, from what I was told. He turned it down, electing to go to Houston because he's not tight with anybody as tight as he is with Chris Paul. And he thought that was a good situation for him to be in. Turned out that was not the case. So now you have a situation where you got Dwayne Wade, who would love to have him in Miami. You got LeBron, who wouldn't mind having him in L.A. Whether Magic and Pelinka are going to sign off on that, because these are brothers that know basketball, and they're hearing what I told you the Sixers and other teams feel, that teams have looked better with Melo off the court than they have looked with him on the court. So even though LeBron might want it, you never know what Magic and Pelinka are going to do, what they're going to sign off on. You have to take that into consideration as well. But I would tell you the one thing that left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth in Houston, Max, Chris Paul and James Harden had no idea that Melo was on the verge of being released. They had no clue. Nobody spoke to them. Nobody talked to them. Melo walked in there to talk about what could he do to make the situation better, and from what I'm being told, was completely blindsided when he was informed that we're going to move in a different direction.
There's a lot here, and I also have, heard some things, and let me just say this first. Who was Carmelo Anthony's first head coach in the NBA?
George Karl.
Bzdelik.
Oh, yeah, it was Bzdelik. Bzdelik and then George Karl. You're absolutely right.
Bzdelik got fired.
Yes.
Bzdelik, I don't think, thinks Carmelo Anthony is a very good defensive player, especially.
Nobody thinks that Carmelo's a very good defensive player.
That's right, but especially Bzdelik. And Bzdelik fixed their defense last year. Then he retired, and they signed Carmelo Anthony. The defense fell apart. They rehire Bzdelik, and the first thing that happens, is they release Carmelo Anthony. That's not coincidental.
Good point.
That's one. Two, Ariza and Luke Mbamute.
Yeah.
They lost them, and part of that is, number one, when a guy like Daryl Morey lets guys walk, that's partly because he believes, maybe not right now, but maybe in over a couple-year contract, they'll be in decline, he'll be overpaying for them. When you give Harden and Chris Paul all that money, and then you have to pay Clint Capella, you have to be very careful about the complementary pieces. So I understand letting them go. The issue with the Rockets, to me, is actually ownership at that point. Because, they have the fourth highest payroll in the NBA. That should be plenty. Because, obviously, Daryl Morey's your GM. If you're the fourth highest payroll and Daryl Morey's your GM, you should do really well. And that's true. Who are they chasing in the West? The Golden State Warriors.
Who they smashed last night.
I'm getting to that. Who has the highest payroll in the NBA? The Golden State Warriors.
Actually, it might be Miami.
No, the Warriors, I believe, are one.
Miami.
But anyway, they're either one or two. I believe they're one. But the point is, you're chasing the team in the conference that's better than you. Why? Just pay the luxury tax. We do pay luxury tax. Pay more, because the team you're chasing pays more, and they're better than you. You have no excuse to lose two good defensive players without replacing them, certainly with a guy better than Carmelo. And let me say this. Bzdelik comes back. Carmelo's off the team. They smash Golden State by 21 points. Part of that's what's going on in Golden State that's bad.
Yeah.
And part of that is what's going on in Houston that's good. Carmelo Anthony, let me quickly say, when I say he should go to China, I'm not taking a shot at Carmelo. This is not boxing or the NFL or MMA. Make them tear the uniform off you. Love playing the game. Do it as long as they'll let you do it, and then do it some more. But don't do it in the NBA, Carmelo, where since you never won a championship, people will remember some of these years. Don't have them remember you like this. Go somewhere where you can put those iso ball skills on display for people to admire. Stay a star, play basketball. You're going to have to do it overseas if you want to keep playing.
I would tell you this. I don't know about China, but I would tell you this. Not Fertitta and the Houston Rockets, they dropped the ball on this, and I'm not blaming Daryl Morey for this because he has to answer the ownership, and he can only spend the money that they allowed him to spend. You were, according to you, meaning Houston, you were a Game 5, late Game 5 injury to Chris Paul. If that had not happened, you win the championship in your mind because you beat the Golden State Warriors, and then you think you would have beaten Houston. If you were that close,
Cleveland.
If you were that close, then why don't you just keep the team together?
Yeah.
As Max said, spend the money. The fact that, listen, if the Houston Rockets don't win a championship in the foreseeable future, we have to look at their owner because you didn't want to pay those dollars when you were knocking on the door. You either believe in your boys or you don't. You either believe in your boys or you don't. You spend the money. So Ariza would have did a one-year deal. He had accepted 10 to 12 million instead of the 15 he got from Phoenix. He had accepted the 10 to 12 million to stay another year in Houston. And Luke and Bahamute and those boys don't cost but so much. You spend the money.
Stephen A., really quick, because I know we have to go to break. Is Melo willing to take a limited role at this point? If that's what the case is?
I think he's willing to come off the bench at this point. When you say limited role, I don't think he's willing to ride the bench, but he's willing to play a limited role. And I think that, listen, again, he walked in willing to do whatever they asked. He would do the same for D-Wade in Miami. He would do the same for LeBron in L.A.